So, hey guys, how you keeping? This is Philip from Irish Medieval History, and today I'll be looking at 1100 AD mod, a mod for Bannerlord. I'll be looking at the history, the politics, the wars, and the units that are in this game. I've been playing it for a small bit of time, having a good bit of fun, and I've been really enjoying myself. So I decided I'd do a little bit of a review today and show you guys what this mod is like. And it's interesting. I did find the history on it is really interesting. It's more balanced for a global campaign. I did notice that straight away, rather than the actual fighting in Ireland between the various clans and stuff. And I did find it very interesting what clans are on this map and what clans have been left out. I don't think it's entirely historically accurate, from my opinion, but maybe there is reasons why it's set up the way it is. I do believe straight away that the MacMoras are here, by the way, and the O'Rourkes are here, and this really affects the historical view much more later on, and that's kind of the first thing that really hit me in the face, because these two families really do not like each other. And much more later on, 80 years from now, what happens is that a member of the MacMora clan kidnaps a member of the O'Rourke clan, one of the women, and forces them into a marriage, which causes a war between the two of them. And obviously the High Kings at the time, the O'Connors in Galway, support the O'Rourkes against the MacMoras. MacMoras go over to England and invite the Normans over. That's interesting. That is very interesting that they have balanced the game in the way it is. Obviously, the MacMoras are actually more based here. They've been placed up here for what I believe is for gameplay balance. I do believe they're put up here for gameplay balance. And we'll discuss and talk about this later on, because we'll have to take a step back, because in this period, England and Ireland are about to go to war with each other. In the game, they're already at war with each other, which is interesting in itself. I think it's because the creators wanted to involve more of the fighting after the death of William II. That's kind of my theory, because after the death of William II, the Duke of Normandy, Robert, gets involved with the Robert invasion of England and the conquest of Normandy between 1101 to 1106, where Robert, Duke of Normandy, comes into England and attacks Henry I of England. And between that, Murtagh Breen, who is King of Ireland in this right now, sets up a marriage alliance between the various Norman barons in Normandy, and supports them against the King of England, and vice versa. The Normans actually send mercenaries over to support Murtagh Breen in various rebellions that kick off in the north of Ireland. So, where do we start this juicy little bit? We'll have to take a step back again, funny enough, to understand what is happening in Ireland at the time. Murtagh Breen becomes King of Ireland in 1086, and the moment he becomes King of Ireland, in Ireland itself, technically speaking, the O'Briens are actually more dominant here, and they're pretty much kings all in this area. Turlough Breen had unified a good chunk of Ireland except for the north. He had captured Connacht, Munster and Leinster. And when Murtagh Breen becomes King of Ireland in around 1086, what you have straight away is that his brother, Diarmid Breen, rebels against him. Himself and the King of Leinster both join in and rebel against Murtagh Breen. So Murtagh Breen has to go in, and eventually he smashes Diarmid Breen, puts him in his place, and he smashes and takes over the kingship of Leinster as well, and he unifies the southern part of Ireland. And that war in 1086 unifies the southern part. However, between 1088 to 1094, let me actually go back to my map here. Connacht and Ulster, well, Ulster was already rebelling against Turlough Ibrahim, but Connacht is subdued by Ulster. Ulster takes full advantage and subdues Connacht. And Connacht and Ulster together go up against Murtagh Ibrahim. So Murtagh Ibrahim spends the years 1088 to 1094 fighting against Connacht, subduing Connacht, and then moving up to Ulster, and repeatedly scourges and attacks and burns many of the Ulster settlements to finally try and subdue them. He multiple times he goes in there and has to crush multiple rebellions in Ulster. So it's very interesting that Ulster is in there. And as I was saying before, for gameplay purpose, I assume MacMorras are also here as well. So the MacMorras and Ulster, pretty dodgy stuff going on here. And obviously the O'Briens and your O'Rourkes are here. And I do believe this is for gameplay balance for later on when MacMorras could do no switcheroo and join England perhaps as the Normans try to invade Ireland, going from Waterford and Dublin into the rest of Ireland. Interesting stuff. What I also found very, very interesting as well is when we go into parties, we'll click into, this is by the way how I find the Wikipedia. I'm very, very bad at finding my way around the place, but regardless, if we go down to Irish, I did find it very, very interesting that the Ibrahim, Murtagh Ibrahim's brother, is actually here. This is the branch off of his family, so this family branches off, and Domhnall is in this right now, and it's interesting because Domhnall is actually the name of the Lucklands. So maybe a bit of historical inaccuracy. This should actually be Dermot. And let's see, what else do we have here? Take a step back, and obviously we have the O'Rourkes and the MacMorras. So that's very interesting. Obviously, that's the name I went for, my own name in Irish. And then we got an Ulster, but I'm not quite sure who this character is. Perhaps Michael from Clans and Dynasties might know, but I'm not quite sure who that is. Regardless, it is very, very interesting. Now, the game, as you see straight away, if we go into the political side, or go back into party, click on this, go over to home, then we go over to kingdoms, we go over to Ireland, click on Ireland, and straight away we got a war with England, but there's no politics with Norway, which I find is quite funny. Maybe it's just the way the game is balanced. At the time, and this gets more interesting because we do in fact have a little war kicking off between sorry about this. We have a little war kicked off between, if we go into Norway, Scotland, but none to do with Ireland. Because at the time, Magnus Barefoot is in the middle of setting up a little marriage alliance between Ireland and Norway. And then with that, Magnus comes in and he supports various rebellions that kick off, in particular against the men of Ulster, and tries to quell them and stuff. So every once in a while we have rebellions kicking off, in particular with the Ulstermen, the Northern Nail and the Ullid, who are more stationed. So the Northern Nail about here, but this is actually the areas of the Ullid. So it's all funny, it's all funnily put together. And so with that, Magnus Barelegs is trying to capture and take over the control of the Irish Sea because he feels that Dublin is threatened. However, with a nice little marriage alliance and trade installed between the two, Magnus Barelegs is quite content, and they join to crush the rebellion. Furthermore, in 1101, Murtagh Breen is recognised as not just Ard Ria, High King of Ireland, but he's also recognised by the papacy as King of Ireland. And in doing so, he hands over where Tipperary is, he hands over Cashel to the church, and he makes Dublin his new capital of Ireland. So that's quite interesting. It happens a year after, in 1101, and 1101 is also where Ireland officially declares war on England to support Normandy in the old Robert invasion of England and conquest of Normandy 1101 to 1106. So that's quite interesting. So the game is very much focused on that. It would be great if we did get a alliance going with Magnus Barefoot. So Ireland can somewhat get involved with this and then quell various rebellions kicking off here, and probably even get involved with this because Ireland is also involved with wars with Scotland, both alliances and wars. So Ireland is very much, like, one day they're allied with Norway. The next day they're fighting against Norway. It's the same thing in Scotland. One day they're fighting with the Scots. Next thing they're having the old marriage alliances and all that stuff on the go. So that's quite interesting, what's going on there. So that would be really fun if we had either, most likely, me personally, I would rather see a marriage alliance between Norway and Ireland, and that way we could see wars kicking off in Scotland and seeing the Irish getting over there, not just in trying to push into England, but also getting into Scotland and stuff. You also have on again, off again relationships with Wales. Dublin at the time has vassals that have rights to take various territories in Wales, and I've actually watched a few games and played a few games where Ireland has pushed into Wales, which is historically accurate. You have various raids and attacks into Wales at this point. You also have the Normans who push into the southern part of Wales and set up the Cambro Normans and stuff, who eventually, as we were just saying there, allied themselves with Murtagh when he's in the middle of a civil war with the O'Rourkes and the O'Connors. The O'Connors later on usurp Murtagh Breen way out in 1118 AD and 1119 AD. They look to push and usurp Murtagh Breen, but that's way later on. We're trying to more or less revolve around the mod right now. So that's interesting in itself. While talking about vassals who live in Dublin under Murtagh Breen, you also have a few vassals that still have legal rights over York. They refer to it as Jorvik. And with that marriage, and this is why I would find it very interesting if they put marriage lines into the game, you would have vassals under Murtagh Breen who would push for an invasion of York, to capture York, rename it Jorvik obviously, and then re-establish that trade link between Norway and Ireland. So that's interesting, and it would be really, really awesome because, especially during the early medieval period, Ireland is continuously invading and trying to capture, and at times, especially between 910 AD all the way up to 980 AD, capturing York and using it as a trade area. The men of Dublin capture it multiple times and then trade into Norway and Denmark. So if Ireland was able to take full control of the Irish Sea away from the Kingdom of England, you 100% they would push to take York. And even all the way to the late medieval period with the Fitzgeralds in Dublin, the first thing the Fitzgeralds do when they invade England is they look to capture York. During the War of the Roses. So you need to take note of that. The Irish are always looking to capture York, so that way they can re-establish their trade links into Denmark, into Norway, and then have full control of that trade link up around Scotland and stuff. And also, of course, the Irish should be looking to take areas like Glasgow, all this area here and stuff. That's what the Irish are looking to do, looking to expand out, looking to capture those regions. Could easily fly down here, take over there and stuff. And while we're talking about moving down here and stuff, you also have Irish who join into the First Crusade. So as a war band, trying to join the various clan battles kicking off here and stuff, especially between the MacMoras and the O'Rourkes, I could feel very threatened at the fact that there is no place for me in this growing, developing Ireland of the 12th century, especially during Murtough Breen. I have a video that covers the early Irish Crusaders and why they went on a crusade, and a lot of them felt very threatened at the expansion of Murtough Breen at this time, and a lot of them would have gone off and joined the First Crusade, either with the English Crusaders who left and went over to the Kingdom of Jerusalem, and also you've got Crusaders who joined in with the Norwegian Crusade and went off to Jerusalem and stuff. So you have a lot of Irish at this time, especially Irish war bands, that would have felt that there was no real place for them in this developing Ireland, where a lot of clans are starting to get pushed off as other clans start to monopolise in Ireland. Especially, as I said earlier, that Murtough Breen is recognised by the papacy as King of Ireland. So the opportunities are there for the various Irish people, let it be the Ustmen, the Gaelic, or, as we see there, the Normans who later on become the Hiberno Normans, which I found very interesting into the history in this game. Then we go into kingdoms, we go into the Kingdom of Ireland. It actually goes over a good chunk of this. In the 9th century, Vikings began raiding and founding settlements along the Ireland coast. In particular, in this one, we can see that with Waterford and Dublin, which becomes the first large towns. Over time, these settlements were established and became Norse Gaels, also referred to in literature as the Ustmen. After the Norman invasion of 1169 to 1171, large swathes of Ireland come under the control of Norman lords, leading to centuries of conflict between the native Irish, who were the Gaelic. The King of England claimed sovereignty over this territory, mostly around the Leinster area. The lordship of Ireland, as the papacy would recognise it down. At the time, they actually had an English pope, and obviously he did not recognise Ireland as Kingdom of Ireland and degraded it down to the lordship of Ireland. The island as a whole, however, the Gaelic system continued in areas outside of the Anglo-Norman control, which is the Pale, and territories under English control shrunk down to there we go, there, the Pale. Outside of this, the Hiberno Normans adopted Gaelic culture. So that's quite interesting and very much accurate, which I'm actually quite happy to read that. I was also very glad to see as well is that they had when I was going through the cultures of Ireland, they actually very much described what it was to be Irish at the time. If you read English literature and also Icelandic literature, sadly Iceland isn't in the game, but if you read literature from Iceland, it describes what it is to be Irish. And to be Irish, basically you need to be born in Ireland. And at the time, you would have had the Ustmen who lived in Dublin and Waterford, and then you would have had the Gaelic who would have definitely came from places obviously like Tralee Castle, Galway, and various other areas around the outskirts of Ireland. Later on, you obviously have the Normans who come in and become Hibernianized and become the Hiberno Normans, or Anglo-Irish, that's the correct term, and the Anglo-Irish dominate this area, and they become obviously influenced by English culture and of Irish culture and also of European culture, and they come in much later on. And it's interesting if we look into the units in this game. Obviously I've recruited a few at this point. And this is mostly the Irish levy. Not bad. I don't think the Irish levies are too bad. Irish militia spearmen are not bad either. Although I'm not a huge fan of what's going on here, I'm not sure. Strange stitching as well. I think it's just because this is the standard Bannerlord unit, which is more of a fantasy unit rather than historically accurate. This isn't bad. I don't think that's too bad. That's the over tunic. Cut off here to make it more of a t-shirt under tunic, and the massive belt. Leather belt is pretty much a no-no, but you know, it's not too bad. And then you have the under tunic here. And then we have the militia archers, who once again Gaelic archers or Usman archers. Funny furry thing. This mostly comes from the standard Bannerlord and pretty much has the names put on. From, like, don't get me wrong, in the base game of Bannerlord, this isn't too bad because it's fantasy, it's meant to be fantasy, but when you're applying this into the actual game itself, it's wild. More wild stuff going on. What the hell is this? And yeah, it screams the fact that it came from more of the standard Bannerlord game and got brought over more than anything else. Can we look at more Irish units? Let me see. Can we go down to culture? Irish. There we go. Let's look at the Irish kerns. So straight away, not a huge fan of what's going on with the Irish kerns. Can't really zoom in or out to see what they have. Irish kerns were mostly a dueling unit and a skirmisher unit, and also would have been very good at working on the flanks and stuff. They would have mostly been working with axe and buckler. And then we have the Usman, very gorgeous unit. This is obviously a well-off Usman. And then we have the later Gallowglass, who come around the 1250s. Gallowglass, beautiful unit. Do we have anything else? So we've got a little militia. This gorgeous one. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, not sure what's going on here. I know that's from the base game. Let's do a little comparison on the Scots first. Let's see what the Scots have. Sadly, if I was to do any criticism, there's definitely no noble units in with the Irish. That's really the only criticism I have. Like, there's no Irish nobles, there's no Ridra, the Irish knights, there's none of that. Let's have a look at the English knight. That's why. I think it's because we have Gallowglass, which, you know, isn't too bad. So it must be just the way the game is balanced, because this is pretty much the same amount of units. Yeah, it's pretty much the same amount of units that the Irish have. Let's see what the Scots are like. Scots. Where are the Scots gone? I've probably gone out of it. There we go. Yeah, I think the Irish actually have slightly more units. 60 Highlanders. I might come over here and start stealing some of these units to build up my Gaelic army as well. Yeah, they're gorgeous. And I might steal some Norwegians as well. What did the Norwegians look like? Now I'm plotting out my game, how I'm going to go through this. And Hungarians, Irish. Is it Nordic? 1 second. It must be Nordic. Yeah, I'm definitely taking a few of these guys later on. Funny scale armor. Yums Vikings. Yeah, I'll be taking a few of the Yums Vikings, that's for sure. Yeah, I'll be definitely flying over. If this is the units they have for Norway, I'll be definitely flying over there and taking a good few of these ones to be building my Irish warband. And can I have... Because historically accuracy, so as I was saying before, with the rebellion, Robert's invasion of England and his conquest of Normandy in 1101 to 1106, you do see Norman knights coming over, so it would be historically accurate to bring some of these guys over to Ireland, especially since we're missing English knights and stuff. Not English knights, Irish knights. and they would have, because they're coming over with the Norman invasion and stuff, it would be historically accurate. I'm saying it's historically accurate anyway. There's probably someone online who completely disagrees, but it is what it is. Crusaders. Maybe I'm missing out the terminology and stuff of what the Crusaders have. I feel so uneducated right now of what the correct term is for the Crusader Knights. Oh, Norman, here we go. Oh, they're Sicilian Knights. I love Sicilian Knights. Oh, they're very, very... I'm not sure what's going on with that. It looks so inaccurate. The rest of it's very beautiful. Yeah, I'll be getting some Sicilian Knights for sure. And who else do we have? So it's not entirely inaccurate to have French, because I say so. Oh, not sure what's going on there. Yeah, everything else is so nice, but I'm not sure what's going on there. I think the first one looks more nicer. Frankish Knights. There we go. A nice hospital. You see, these guys were in Ireland, so having these Crusader Spearmen. You see, these guys all came to Ireland. You see, the same with the Crusaders. The Knights Templars and Knights Hospital built castles in Ireland, so it's actually not historically inaccurate to have these guys, especially if you're planning to bring your warband over to a crusade, because you're going to have a lot of disgruntled Irish that kind of want to break away from what's going on in Ireland and join the Crusades. A lot of Irish most likely died. If you read accounts from the First Crusade, I did an entire video on it, and I reckon a lot of them just got wiped out in the northern part here. I reckon a ton of them got wiped out around there, because you're reading them arriving so far, and then the accounts of them just disappear, and it would be no surprise they just kind of were bodies in a pile, probably crushed and sandwiched in between the constant grind between the shield walls happening between the Muslim and Christian forces. There she is, the Kingdom of Jerusalem, absolutely gorgeous. A lot of people ask me, would there been any difference between Irish Crusader kit and English Crusader kit? No. I reckon they went over there and just took on English Crusader kit and Norwegian Crusader kit, and the only difference that you would have recognized is their accent. And the thing is, when you've got all these white people moving over here to fight the Muslims, they would have just been considered English or Norwegian. They would not have been considered Irish. Only the English and Norwegians themselves would have identified them as Irish, as seen in the literature. Kind of sad in a way. Like myself, because I'm living out in the Pacific now, and a lot of the time people just put me down as either American or English, and if they ask, I correct them, and most of the time it's like, oh yeah, so what's the difference between English, American and Irish? And yeah, when I read the literature of Irish people going on these crusades, joining the Knights Hospital, joining the Templars, and joining the English, joining the Norwegians, and going over to Jerusalem, I feel the same in the fact that no one cares, no one cares about your Irish culture or Irish ways when you're over there. You're just another white invader, I guess. Anyway, so looking at this, there's plenty of opportunities to get out into the world and do various bits and bobs. Hours of fun role-playing as a Irish warband, getting involved with Murtaugh's politics as he gets involved and allies himself with the Duke of Normandy, invades England, and also whatever relationship goes on between Norway and Ireland against Scotland, against England, trying to capture the various parts of Wales as they get involved with the princes of Wales, the kings and princes of Wales, and also trying to get back York and rename it Jorvik. That would be pretty awesome. Anyway, and also not forgetting going on crusade, of course. Anyway, guys, I hope you like my little what was it, a review of the mod. I'm quite enjoying it myself. I'm not really going to show off too much gameplay because it's, you know, basic Bannerlord gameplay and stuff. Other than that, guys, yeah,